Today, I want to cover something that I've talked about in previous podcasts and done complete podcast episodes on this, but it seems to be coming up every single time in coaching sessions. And that is, you must heal for the right reasons. Welcome back to the Secure Husband Podcast. Bruce Abbott, certified professional coach, founder of SecureHusband.com, the podcast where I help good men stop living for approval and start living in emotional strength and truth. Again, I've covered this before, but I just really felt the need to revisit this topic because it's happening so much in my conversations. You have to heal for the right reasons. This is about becoming the man you want to be more than earning back your wife's affection. Because here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of my guys doing the work. They're showing up differently. They're becoming more emotionally aware. They're learning how to regulate, self-soothe. They're able to do a better job of staying present in situations. They're able to better respond instead of react. They can take responsibility, and that's awesome. But there's this underlying question underneath all of this that I see in these conversations that I have. And it's the real reason you're doing this. I've touched on this in many, many podcasts. There's, I believe, a whole episode on this, but I just want to hit it again because I want you to ask yourself this question. Why am I trying to heal? Is it to become stronger and more secure and at peace with myself? Or am I doing this because I'm hoping that if I change enough, she'll finally love me again? I want you to be honest. And I know most men start this journey for that very reason. They want to earn back their wife's affection. And I just want to tell you, there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with wanting to earn back your wife's affection. So when I say this out of love. This is not out of shame. This is not guilt. This is not blaming or criticizing. We all started down this journey for that very reason. We wanted to earn back that affection. We wanted to get her to stop pulling away. We wanted her to initiate sex again or be willing to have a sexual relationship. We wanted those kind words and tone of voice. We wanted to return to that infatuation honeymoon stage that we had in our relationship. And I get it. I did it too. That's how I started down this journey. And that's most likely why you started down this journey. That longing for connection is real. But as we get into the process, we start to have to understand the truth that if you make her response the reason for your healing, you will never feel safe. You will always be performing. You will stay stuck in the very insecurity that you're trying to heal. So you got to shift your focus for good. There's a difference between healing for approval and healing for transformation. It's a trap. It's the trap of doing the work to win her back. You have to reclaim your self-worth apart from her affection and response. That's how you build identity and leadership and peace. No matter what she chooses, you become the man that you respect, regardless of who validates it. And again, this is not from a place of shame. Because when most men start healing, it's with the idea that I'm going to work on myself and get her back. I'm going to go to coaching or counseling or therapy if it saves the marriage. Maybe you're like, okay, I'll learn emotional regulation if she starts responding better. Because on the surface, hey, that looks noble. You're trying, you're investing, you're doing the work. But it traps you because deep inside your motivation isn't growth, it's approval. Because your goal should be transformation, not reconciliation. Because if you get into that trap, you're not trying to be the best version of you. You're trying to become the version you think she'll finally love and be affectionate with and desire. That's not healing. That's performing. That's the wounded boy saying, if I become perfect enough, maybe she'll choose me again. And that's the reason I wanted to do another podcast on this topic, because that kind of healing will always collapse. Think of it as a building that's built on a shaky foundation. That foundation being her response, because you don't know what her response will be. This may be a little tough love today, but I just want to let you know I've been on this journey. I have asked these questions. I have made every mistake in the book on my healing journey. And so when I ask you this, I ask this out of love and not shame. But the question is, who are you trying to impress? So when you speak more calmly in conflict, and you stop chasing or collapsing, and you show up more present and grounded, those are wonderful things. You need that for healing. But who are you doing it for? Because if your answer is, I hope she notices, or maybe now she'll come back, or maybe now she'll initiate sex, maybe now I'll get attention, finally, affection, warmth. It's tough, but that's not healing. You're making the right steps, but you're doing it for the wrong reason. You're still trying to control. You're still trying to earn. You've just swapped one form of control, anger, withdrawal, blame, for another, performance. And I will tell you, I speak from experience. Performance is exhausting because you find yourself constantly checking her reactions. How is her tone? Did she soften? Is she still withdrawn? Did she respond to my effort? Will tonight be the night? Did she notice that I didn't react this time? These are questions that you're asking yourself. That's still codependency. You're not operating from a place of self-leadership. And I'm just hearing it so much with the guys I'm working with. So that's, again, why I wanted to do another podcast on this. So let's start by noticing. The secure husband process starts with an intent to learn and be curious. Ask yourself, where am I making her response the measure of my success? Because once you see it, you can start to break free. And I know I've said it over and over in these podcasts. You have to detach your worth from her response. This is where your power returns. When you decide that you're no longer healing to get something from her, does that mean you stop desiring connection? Absolutely not. You should still want affection and intimacy and respect. That's part of a healthy relationship. That needs to be in your marriage. But you're trying to control the uncontrollable. You're trying to control your wife. And the moment that your healing depends on her affection, you lose your identity. Because subconsciously you say, I only matter if she notices. I'm only growing if she validates it. I'm only worthy and safe if she responds positively. Those are the false core beliefs that you've been operating under. It's a lie, because real healing is about who you are when no one's watching. We talk about integrity, doing the right thing, even if she never acknowledges it. This is about self-integrity, self-respect, self-worth. It's at this step you choose to commit to becoming the man that you respect. Say this to yourself, I will become the man I respect, not to win her over, but because I refuse to abandon myself ever again. That's where real leadership begins, with that shift. And the outcome will be what the outcome is. You have no control. When you shift and transform, she may draw closer again to you because she's feeling emotionally safe. She can trust you emotionally again. But sometimes that may not happen. But the whole point is you have to meet that part of you that is terrified to be unchosen. You stop trying to fix the marriage and start tending to the real wound inside, the part of you that believes, if she doesn't want me, I must be unworthy. If you're a frequent listener to this podcast, you know that it didn't start with your wife. It started when you were a little boy. If your parents ignored your emotional needs, maybe you had to earn love through performance. As a little boy, when being seen or affirmed was always conditional, then you grew up with those coping strategies. And now as an adult, that little boy runs the show. And when your wife is cold or disconnected, or she rejects, that activates that same wound. This started long before you were married. Every single podcast, I talk about that little boy because he is at the core of what's happening. That wound that gets triggered has always been there. But when your wife triggers it, it sends the message, see, you're still not enough. You're still not lovable. You're still not desirable. What if she leaves? Will you ever be wanted again? So instead of healing, you hustle. You're trying to earn love. You try to become the perfect husband. Say all the right things, fix every flaw just so you can feel chosen. But that's not love. That's fear. One of my favorite sayings is, be perfectly imperfect. You don't have to earn love by being perfect. So here's where you meet that wounded boy. You sit down in a quiet space, you have that conversation. Hey, little guy, I see you. You don't have to earn love anymore. I'm here. I'll never leave you. You're reparenting that little boy. You are becoming that father figure that he needed. Because when you show yourself that kind of love, that ends the chasing. It starts to break the pattern because you stop needing your wife to choose you because now you've finally chosen yourself. And you need something bigger to overcome these false core beliefs that you believe. You need truth. You need a source of unconditional love. You need a source that tells you you are worthy, and you go to a higher power because you need something bigger than you, because you don't trust you yet. You need to trust something bigger. God, the universe, higher self, spirit, whatever your belief system is. You sit down and you have that dialogue. I talk about this in every single podcast because self-soothing, talking to that inner boy and reparenting, and connecting to a higher power, they're the three main parts to the secure husband process. You have that conversation. You ask those questions about your love, your worth, and you get truth. You are loved. You are worthy. And that's how you choose yourself. That's where you start to see her as she is, and not as this savior of your insecurity. Because when you can do that, that's a turning point. That's where you begin healing from the right place. Just recently did a podcast. It always takes two. You always have two wounded partners in a dysfunctional relationship. Each one of you bring your inner space into the collective relationship space. When both partners create a safe inner space, then they can create a safe relationship space. But until that point, only she can deal with her inner space. So you start seeing your wife through a different lens, not through the lens of I need her to love me, or I need her to validate my growth, or I need her to make me feel like a man, but understand that she's a woman with her own wounds and fears and limitations and choices, and she's operating from her own sense of self-protection, just like you are. And you might look at her and say, she might never affirm my growth. She might never come back emotionally. She might not choose healing at all. And yeah, that hurts, but it doesn't define you anymore because your identity isn't tethered to her behavior. And then you stop trying to manipulate or earn affection. You just simply exist in truth, present, grounded. You're not here to change her. You're here to become you. And ironically, that's what actually creates the space for connection to return, because women respond to wholeness and emotional safety, not performance. And the great thing is when you get to that point, you're not doing it for her. You're doing it because it's who you are now. And she feels this. But you've built a new life that's rooted in integrity and not performance. And that's where things begin to change. When you stop chasing approval and start building identity. Because your identity isn't tethered to her behavior. You're not trying to manipulate or earn affection. You're simply standing in truth. You're not here to change her. You're here to become you. You're doing it because it's who you are now. So when you're keeping your word to yourself or speaking the truth even when it's uncomfortable, when you're leading with calm presence in hard moments, showing compassion to your pain, but without becoming a victim, regulating your nervous system, without demanding others change first, you do this not to get something back, but because it's who you've decided to be. It's the man you want to become. Honest, grounded, present, strong, clear, not perfect, but real, authentic. And whether she responds to it or not, you keep showing up because your motivation has shifted. You're no longer asking, will this fix my marriage? You're asking, is this in alignment with who I am becoming or I want to become? That's what healing for the right reasons looks like. You become a man who doesn't need to be chosen to be enough. It's freedom, it's peace, because you've stopped chasing, and you've stopped proving, and you've stopped trying to earn love, and you've stopped tying your self-worth to her attention or affection or approval, and you've become the kind of man who says, I am loved, even if she doesn't say it. I am secure, even if she doesn't come back. I am valuable, even if no one notices. That man is magnetic, not because he's trying to win affection, but because he radiates peace and truth and strength. He's not afraid to be alone because he's no longer alone inside. He's chosen himself, and now he leads from overflow and not emptiness. That's the secure husband, not someone who's healed to get love, but someone who's healed because he is love. And that's why you don't heal to win her back. You heal to never lose yourself again. If your motivation's rooted in fear of rejection, you'll never feel safe, no matter how much she softens. But if your motivation is rooted in truth and love and self-respect, you're going to be free no matter what she chooses. That freedom's where your power lives. Just take a moment, ask yourself, am I doing this to be chosen or because I've chosen the man that I want to become? If it's the second, keep going. You're on the right path. If it's the first, think about it and dialogue with your higher power and your inner child about it. I hope this podcast was helpful for you. If so, hey, give me a review. Hit that subscribe button for more Secure Husband episodes. Share this episode with someone who you think may need to hear this. Visit securehusband.com for more resources and to book one-on-one coaching with me. And I'll see you again on the next Secure Husband podcast. Thanks for listening.